Welcome to the Level Method Legion Chalk Talk podcast. This is Scott, your host. And on this episode, I'm super excited to have Gavin Martin of North Strong. And Gavin is the director of operations for their two locations. He's an amateur photographer. And before CrossFit, he was a marathon runner. Welcome, Gavin. How you doing today, man?
Doing well, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And we'll just kind of let everybody know the reason that you're on is the two gyms where you're running the operations are rather new to Level Method. And you were on the Monday Mastermind call and you said a few things that kind of struck my interest. So I'm like, I got to get this dude on the podcast. So I'm really pumped to have you here.
Happy to be here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about North Strong, where you guys are at? Just give us a little background, if you will.
Yeah. Well, myself and Logan Botch is the owner of both gyms. We have a Northeast and Linden Hills location. So again, we have two locations. North Strong is the umbrella name for the company, both gyms. And we're based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we've been here for about 7 years for the Northeast location and about 4 to 5 with the Linden Hills. So we're really excited to still be active after this year in the Minneapolis.
No kidding.
Lots of fitness here, lots of things happening this year. 2020, of course, has been super keeping us on our toes, but we are still going forward and we're making great changes like with Level Method and other parts of our programming. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and yeah, excited to be part of the family.
Yeah, it was really refreshing when you guys came on. I do the mentor calls are kind of the onboarding, and both of you guys were on those calls, and that always says a lot to me about the structure of the business, that it's not just one person running everything. You seem to have your stuff together. So kudos to that. You guys have been, you said the longest was 7 years. So I would imagine this is probably the hardest year, including opening. If you were around at that time, you might know, I don't know.
Yeah, I was not. Logan, of course, did that with his first team. And yeah, he, I think that was probably pretty difficult for him. He started from pretty much bare bones, like a lot of CrossFit gyms back then.
Yeah.
Still today, of course, but you know, this year has been a challenge. We're coming out a lot stronger, I think, in many ways. So
yeah. So how long have you been with Logan as director of operations? How long have you been with him? Altogether?
I'm about a year and a half only into this position itself. I started with Northeast and Linden Hills, which was CrossFit Northeast, CrossFit Linden Hills originally, and we rebranded this year as well. So we've had that big change as well. But I've been around for about 3, going on 4 years now, totally. But now at this position, just about a year and a half. So pretty recent.
Right on, man. So you guys finished up your initial testing like a week, 2-3 weeks ago. How recently was that?
About 3 weeks. Of course, there's been some people getting still back into the gym and getting all of them done. So we still are completing a few, but the big global assessment, which we rolled out, the initial assessment, was done about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to spend a little time there because I specifically want to speak to gym owners that are just picking up Level Method or thinking about it or are getting close to rolling out. And since you're so fresh, I thought this is a great time to talk about like what went right, what could have gone better. Let some other people learn from your experience, especially at 2 locations. I think that's a unique place to kind of talk to.
Yeah. If you have one location, I would do it with one. But no, we have a team of, it fluctuates from 11 to 15 coaches, including myself and Logan. We're the only 2 full-time employees here, so we have a lot of quote unquote hobby coaches or part-time coaches. So that was the big thing. What led to our success with implementation was a beta group of coaches that we led with about 6 of the team, about half. And we went through about a month. This is during still not stay at home per se, but we were able to get them in the gym before we opened up indoor classes. We had an outdoor class scheduled for a while in Minnesota before indoor. And so during that outdoor class, we were able to get some of our coaches to start ramping up the assessments at home with some of their equipment. It was kind of unique. We'd love to do it, obviously, everything in person, but it was kind of
Right.
odd. So the beta team took it upon themselves to do the onboarding, online education, and the assessments themselves. After that, we then rolled it out to the rest of the coaches after learning some of the issues and the bumps in the road with the beta team. We did not do a beta member group, which I know was mentioned in the level method.
Yeah.
We decided against that due to the fact that time was of the essence. We wanted to roll it out. And we had such a big team of coaches that we were able to get 2 beta teams out of that. So if I didn't have that big a team, I may have thought about pulling a handful of different types of members and do a beta team there. But again, with our large coaching team, it made sense. And then we rolled it out. Then we rolled it out at the end of the rest of the month in August to the rest of the team. So that was a really well done. We ran into a couple of things with the members, of course, across the OG or the original team of members. We found that there was some pushback from our past programming that we have done all of ourselves, me, Logan, and some of the other team members. And we did start to see some pushback on the 3 weeks of assessments. Was just so daunting for a lot of people mentally
Right.
during a year like this
Yeah.
of 2020 that we found that was maybe not something that we could even gone around, but we did as many videos as we could of myself and Logan talking about it, and then kept checking in with the coaches. And we still had some pushback, but it was easy to spend some time doing one-on-one check-ins almost in class. And me, myself, Logan, and another team member kind of having that one-on-one conversation with the really not irked members, but certainly the ones that had the least amount of trust in it. So it was tough. We have, I will say we have lost a few due to the fact that they don't like the new programming. And that's just, I think, from a very much a stick in the mud kind of, I wanted to do this and I didn't want it to change. Even though we've explained it to them on why it's beneficial, why we believe in it. And
Yeah.
some people, you just aren't going to change their minds.
No, and that is really difficult. And I will tell you that I maybe there's a few gyms that haven't lost one person, but and in the long run, we've seen people come back. We've seen in several gyms. I've gotten direct numbers of they had lost members previous to level method, and through promoting what was going on, they received a bunch or got a lot of their old members back because there was some clarity in the training that they hadn't received before. So typically the upswing is far greater than the loss, and it's always hard. It's always difficult to lose.
Yeah, but also like me and Logan, when we decided, and I don't know if any of your listeners have decided this, in 2020, we had already, when we had done the demo with you was in February. I think it was
Yeah.
pre-COVID a little bit. We were at least, COVID wasn't, it was maybe on the map, but it wasn't full, dumpster fire,
Right.
right? So we had already, at that point, we're a two-brain business too. I'll say that. We are super interested in changing our vision and our mission towards a certain type of client. And in Minneapolis, very big fitness location, metropolis, there's a lot. We're not this one, box in the middle of, this one town. And it's we
Right.
have a lot of competitors. And so what we decided this year, especially, was with Level Method, we wanted to take a approach to our program and our members, and we wanted to create an opportunity for the type of member that we wanted. Somebody that wanted education, somebody that wanted to see progression, somebody that wanted safety as the backbone of the program, instead of this competitive CrossFit mentality that we see with the sport of it and stuff of 2-a-days and like really heavy lifting and stuff. We wanted something that was scalable to not just the 25-year-old college graduate, but also the 80-year-old grandma. And that's what Level Method was, exactly that. When I did the demo, and I was like, boom, this is it, Logan. We're doing it because this is exactly the people I want. And so then the people that don't want that, we've been through 2020. I've been through one of the biggest upturns in the industry in the world. And we're still, surviving. So I'm at this point where you can't really scare me. If members don't want to join, that's okay. I can't force them, and we're not in the business of doing that because they'll leave anyways in the end.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. You kind of picked your ultimate client or your seed client or
Right.
your avatar, and then you're okay, what fits within that? And I talk a lot to new gyms about like, what's your vision, and does level method match your vision? And I will happily tell somebody, if it does not, like if you can't wrap it in there, then we need to give your money back and move on, because it's going to be really difficult, because it has to fit your vision. And I think that has been key. And I do want to publicly shout out to Two Brain for being so good at that. And so we've seen that end of this through level method gyms. Other systems and services have done a phenomenal job too. But Two Brain definitely has the biggest footprint with us. So you lost a few, you had a little bit of pushback. I mean, you're talking about a programming change, which is really difficult.
Right.
But one thing I heard you say was you guys were on video like all the time. So tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, if your listeners have a owner or a director of operations or somebody that's a location manager, customer success manager, whatever it is, somebody that does the interfacing with the membership, I think it's dire. And I tried to do as much as I could every week for the assessments. I would, at least I think it was the first initial week, I did a video every day breaking down what was to be expected in the map, because the map's such a big, like, oh my God, I want to see the map. I want to take the map home. I want to sleep with the map. I want to hold that map at night and wake up with it in front of me. And like, there's those people that are just like, can I have the map? And I'm like, no, you can't. It's okay. You're going to come to the gym. Just open your mind and just follow a class like it normally does, like you normally do. And there was so much of that. So the videos and the talking about it that was pushed into our Facebook private group and our emails every day was really built around, this is what to expect. Here's some of the high level stuff. And maybe for some of those more competitive people that wanted to hit the initial assessment ground running, this was a couple ideas for them. And then at the end of each video, I always said, this is about getting a color. And this is what Nathan and your team have touted by the initial assessment. It's not about PRing. It's not about your best representation of physical prowess, but it's about getting a color on the board. So then again, it's not about the assessment. It's about the programming after. And I kept telling people, don't worry about this assessment. It's just getting in color. Try your hardest, but I'd rather people pull back a little bit and show me a standard athlete day to day every given Monday versus their one day where they PR'd their back squat and they'll never do that again. That's not a great representation of them. I said, it's better to go a little bit shallow on this first one, especially get that color. And then kept bringing it back to the daily programming, kept bringing it back. Oh man, you're mad about your rings. Don't worry. We're going to work on it in programming. That's where the bread and butter is. It's not the assessments, but the day to day.
Yeah. I love how you tied that to the forward vision of what you were seeing. It was like, this is why, and this is how. I think that's really key. And then the consistent and persistent and the messaging, and that's something I talk a lot about, is the messaging has become so consistent, and it has to be over and over and over again. And I love that you really took the map and really walked them through it piece by piece, because that's probably what I hear the most is like the coaches are exhausted from explaining the map every day. And I'm like, do it ahead of time. Like give everybody a bone. So it is 3 weeks of this is daunting. It's daunting for the first time. The second and third, I will tell you, like the third time is where most people say that's where the magic happens. But so what do you think you would have done differently if you were to start again today in another location? What things would you change, if any?
What I did a little bit late, and I would do it earlier, was I threw up on the calendar with on our private, did some Facebook Lives with our private Facebook group. And I said, hey, this is a Q&A about level method. And they were just half-hour increments. And I'd put a couple at late afternoon. I did a couple at noon. People are working from home, so it's a good time for them to kind of keep that on the phone while they're doing their work at home, if they're on a conference call or something. So we saw this especially helped those that wanted that more information. There was a handful of people that just were like, I'm going to show up and just get my color.
Right, yeah.
Awesome. I love them. Like, it's like, hey, you just show up. But there was a bunch of people that were like, okay, what exactly is the energy system? Like, what's going on here and stuff. And that was a great time. Those Facebook Lives, I would have done that in the first week. All the way through. I only was able, one of my coaches was like, why don't you do a Facebook Live? And I was like, why don't I do a Facebook Live? So that's something I would do throughout each couple times a week for each assessment, half hour of your day, not too bad. And the questions weren't tons during the Facebook Live. It was more just me regurgitating the same message over and over again. And again, I would be a little bit more proactive about go through your list of members and look at them and their personality types. And I would make a list of high priority, like high needs, medium, moderate needs, and then low needs. And then just kind of funnel them through a little bit more attention on the people that you think are going to have more questions, and set up maybe even one-on-ones with them, or make sure that coaches, the times that they come to class, because it's very common they do the same classes, is maybe let those coaches know to give them a little extra attention. And then on top of it, I didn't think there would be as much questions in class, but I think some of my coaches, especially in the first week, didn't have all the answers. We wanted to try to get them all the answers. That's why we did the beta groups and all the education beforehand, but still there was questions from a coaching side when they got from members that they didn't anticipate. So I would put together, when you do your beta test with your coaches, build a list of questions, frequently asked questions, and make an SOP around that. Not an SOP, but just like a documentation on your site or wherever you keep your resources, so they can refer back to that. And just, we use Slack.
Yeah, that's a great tool
platform for our coaches. And we made a channel for Level Method. That was important. So I would make sure to do that as well. But I guess,
just like you can't communicate enough, basically. And I love that you thought, would pinpoint certain types of members. And the other thing that's really important to remember is you told me that you and Logan were the only full-time. Therefore, everyone else is part-time coaches, probably have other careers, kids, all sorts of things going on. Did they watch the e-learning? Did they go through it? Probably. Did they go through it mindfully? Not most of the time. And so that the expectation and the reality of what's going to occur typically have a little bit of a span in between those two. And then, so I think a really good point is support materials for your coaches. And I think to just assume they're going to answer correctly is a very incorrect assumption. But I love that they were asking you. I think setting that up ahead of time is, don't answer something you don't know the answer to. And I always tell folks, hey, if it's your first time around, when people are coming at you, just say, this is our first time too. We have resources. We have somebody at Level Method we can contact directly right now. And you did that a lot. You messaged me a lot, emails. And I thought it was really good, because it was just, boom, boom, we could address it as it's going, but let them know you're not going to know all the answers, and just say, I don't know. I need to figure that out, and I'm going to get right back to you. So training that up. What's that?
Or even what I decided what we did a lot of was what I would have done, I guess, a little bit more would be there's a goal session week. There's a goal session week. There's a goal session week. I didn't say that enough. And I wish I would in the first week, and the second week, especially as they're getting to the assessments, what does this all mean? And I'm like, it's going to be reviewed. It's going to be reviewed with your goal session. Now, that's not mandatory for anybody. We do highly recommend it that they sit down with a coach, and we had a really good adherence to that. We're still having a few people that were hesitant still schedule with us today, even 3 weeks after the assessment's done.
Awesome.
Which is good, but it's remember, it's not just that the assessments are done and bye forever. There's a dedicated time with you and a coach to go over how now do we approach class. My overall level's just orange, but I have everything else in purple. What's going on? And it's well, let's talk about that. That's not how we're going to approach every workout at Orange. You need to be smart about application of your levels to the daily programming. And that is really important.
Yeah. Okay. So you just gave me the perfect segue, because I want to talk about goal sessions.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
One question, one word answer. Did you do goal sessions before this?
No.
Okay. Second question. Why did you decide to do goal sessions?
We had, again, like I said earlier, Two Brain has been something that we've invested in and worked on with our mentorship. And they started talking about athlete check-ins.
Yep.
We had all the intention of doing that, but then COVID hit, and the ship turned, right? And we had all the intention of doing that. And I was trying to figure out how to build the infrastructure with only 2 full-time coaches or myself and Logan, two full-time employees. And how do I not die under payroll? How do we not die under payroll by asking all of our coaches to help us get these goal sessions or check-ins done? And what happened is we just basically bit the bullet a little bit, and we're like, the retention and the service that we're providing has to have a goal session now, because the amount of questions and the amount of smart metric driven, performance driven, assessment driven, how the map is laid out, everything, there needs to be a goal session for this to continually work. Otherwise it's going to fall short.
Right.
And so it was at a point where we're just like, we just have to do it. We had already thought about it, but this was a great level method, took what Two Brain had already planted and allowed us to execute it a little bit smarter and better, because we had that background, because before we could have done a goal session, but what are we looking at?
Right.
Right. Like, okay,
I want to do handstands.
Yeah,
okay.
Like, great, let's look at your last couple of workouts in sugar water or something like that. It's like, no, we now have this huge beautifully color-coded, broken down assessment platform that we can then talk about with them. And it already starts the conversation. And then when that conversation starts, it's just like, everything starts to unravel and you start to figure out the actual whys and stuff. So. Yeah,
it's brilliant. I love that Two Brain is pushing now. I know they're talking about that a lot right now. And, Coop just seems to have that on his mind, which it's great. Obviously we believe in it wholeheartedly. And the, something you said that, one, you weren't doing goal sessions before Level Method, and by pairing them, I think you guys are really lining yourself up for really long-term success, because those goal sessions, one, people know you care. Two, people have a direction. They actually have tangible goals with objective data. And that's the gap I've seen for so long. Is I used to have we used to have goals when I owned my affiliate, and we would write them up on the board, but they were all over the place. Like I said, I want to do a handstand, and this could be a morbidly obese person or whatever. And it's like, well, how do you say that? But now with a map, I can imagine, well, okay, you're right on upper body push right now. Why don't we just work on getting to, push-ups, regular push-ups. Let's just see what we can do.
Yeah.
And so I love that, but I think there's a very long-term vision going here. So I heard you say retention. Correct. What are the big key things you would like to take away? Let's say you look back 5 years and like, I want Level Method and goal sessions to have achieved X. What is that?
When I look at, again, with the competitive environment of Minneapolis, I've been to a lot of different gyms and a lot of different programs, and we've built our own, and now we're in a different type of program. What I always wanted, and CrossFit did very well in the beginning, was buy-in. I wanted buy-in. I wanted people to believe in the program, not only, and then also be excited about it. That's why CrossFit was interesting, right? It was an interesting workout. CrossFit, of course, fell short, in my opinion, in the metric side of it, which was where Level Method picked up. And what I wanted to see was buy-in, and a visual buy-in, not just an actual like leadership toting a vision and mission, and coaches motivating and talking about what our whole program is about, but also them to see it and feel it and have it. The app itself, the gamification, the color coding helps those that are more visually inclined versus metric inclined. I wanted somebody to feel like they were part of something like that, and it was in their hand every day, and they kept seeing it, not just hearing it, but seeing it, because everybody learns differently. So that retention hopefully will span across more different types of individuals. And I guess that's kind of my answer. I just feel like the retention, the long-term retention was for them to feel like they were part of the program was actually working for them and on their weaknesses, not just their strengths. Or we were able to have that. It was an opportunity for us to have that conversation about their weaknesses without blatantly saying, hey, guess what? You're not good at this,
Yeah.
No, I'm fine at this. It's like, well, no, you can see it right here. And then getting back to our retention was mindset. My big goal here as when I took this job, we rebranded as fitness, nutrition, mindset as our three pillars of conversation around our gyms. And mindset's the most important, because it drives not just it's fitness is one thing, nutrition is one thing, but it's only strong if your mind is strong for it. And I wanted people to have a strong, confident mindset on how to approach. Like you said, the guy who wants the handstands, the long-term goal, has a short-term goal that he can then or she can attack and work on. And that gives them confidence on a smaller bite of the big apple. And that helps them stay confident in the program and us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how have you done getting people into goal sessions? I mean, how is it going? I love that you leverage this opportunity, and I love that you brought up the how you would do it differently it would have probably leveraged it even more. We're gonna like talk about all this in the goal sessions. It's because so many times people ask me, I've never done goal sessions before, and I'm getting like zero buy-in. Well, you guys actually use Level Method to get the like full on buy-in. But
Right.
how is it going? I mean, you said 3 weeks of it now. How have you managed the time? Because this is a big question. How can I do this? There's so many people. How have you managed the time, the effort, and getting buy-in?
Yep. So me and Logan took on a handful. I'm more at Northeast and he's more at Linden Hills, just our living situation. And we just separated ourselves by the location a little bit more. We picked 2 people in our coaching staff that we thought had good leadership and good interactions with goal sessions, right? Those 2 individuals we then broke up into both locations as well. And we used Acuity to schedule out the first week. And we pushed that 1 week as actually only the 4 of us have dealt with that first week. After the first week, me and Logan have just taken on the remainder to allow for other coaches not to be overwhelmed and also for us to obviously save a little bit of money here and there with coaching hours and stuff.
Right.
But the goal was to split up these 2 coaches at both locations, given the amount of members and that we needed to get around. And we built it through Acuity. So then in our daily emails, we sent out daily emails and notes about our workouts and Level Method. And in that, we also just kept pushing the link out. And that was for them to see. Now we're back to programming. If you want to understand how to approach the programming, please schedule a goal session. It's free. It's really going to be helpful for you to work on moving forward. And everyone was like, yeah, why not? A couple of them were scared, but then a little conversation. Some people want different coaches as their goal session, ones they have good relationships with.
Right.
But we wrote an SOP, just wrote and trained them in on it. And they all have their own flavor of doing it. We've now done all of our coaches as well.
Oh, that's cool.
We talked to our 2-brain mentor, and he was like, you need to get your coaches to see what you're doing as goal sessions, because then class, they can talk about, hey, have you done your goal session? If you haven't, you're missing out on this great thing. And also remember, your coaches at your gym are members that have just an extra level of knowledge.
Yeah.
They do have a different hat. They wear a responsibility, and they are motivators and directors of the program, but they also are just humans and they suffer from the same mental issues and mindsets that you do as an owner, and they should not be looked at any differently, and they need to be motivated as well. So we have them now finally doing their goal sessions with us, me and Logan primarily.
I think that's really powerful. We should be leading by example, leading from the top. And by participating in what we're asking them to promote, it makes so much more sense because they can speak to it personally. This is what I did. I really enjoyed it. It was very valuable for me. So that's a really great nugget to take away. So did you do them all in person? Okay.
No, Zoom is the easiest. I recommend doing Zoom. You get more volume done. Half-hour segments, that's all. Sometimes they run over, sometimes they wouldn't. And that's just like, hey, do you have time to go over? I would love to do an hour with everybody. Totally do that. But no, we did a few in person, especially like, hey, I'm coming in at 5:30. Can I just do it before the 5:30 class? Yeah, of course. Awesome.
Perfect.
Whiteboard it out.
Yeah. And did you use the Level Method app with the athlete view, the member view?
Yes. The goal sessions were logged underneath the athlete profile. We would always pull up and share our screen with the athlete view of their levels and the notes and the level history. We then standardized the follow-up to be around 3 months based on what Level Method said through the goal sessions. And also like some of them were a little bit more, we gave the opportunity for you to follow up a little more recent depending, just because this is the first initial goal session. and you've planted a seed on many things like one-on-one coaching. You've planted the nutrition seed. You've planted different mindset seeds like lifestyle changes, and sometimes those need to be followed up on a little bit faster than 3 months. So
that kind of leads into my next question. You're really good at this. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, Scott, we don't have a history or culture of personal training," and you brought up some things that really, really struck some interest for me the other day, and so has that been an easier train? Did you find the goal sessions that lead you into that, and talk to us to that nature about doing upsells? But let's use upsells carefully. You're adding more value to the member. They're asking for this stuff is really what we want to get them to.
Yeah, I would really refrain from using upsell, because we're not, and that's not the way. You just need to refine your parameters of service.
Oh, that's really good.
Protect yourself, right? Again,
yeah.
We are such in a business of giving to our members in class. CrossFit has created group management and group classes with personal training built into it, like it was founded upon, and that we give so much information for free, which is fine in class. But there's also time for you to tout the other services that you have. We found that we were building that personal training through COVID stay-at-home quarantine orders quite a bit with remote training. That's where we gave birth to kind of more of a focus on personal training, because that's what we were able to do. Also, you found yourself doing probably, hopefully, a lot more personal training or personal, at least coaching. I like to say personal coaching, personal one-on-one training during COVID stay-at-home order, because you had to give that extra attention. So that gave way to that focus. And then we just kept bringing it. Our on-ramp was revamped with Level Method and Two Brain to be all one-on-one sessions to begin before a member goes into their group classes, which has been really important to, I think, retention and success of that member feeling comfortable in a very intense environment.
Yeah.
So that those all have kind of played. And then finally with the goal session, we were just set up for that conversation because they had seen it. They know about the new on-ramp program. They know about the new assessments and how, and the remote training. They know about all these different things. They've heard about them. And so now it's just like, hey, you want to work on your snatch? That's a 30-minute skill session. That's not even a personal training. It's just like, hey, you're not going to go into class. You're going to come in 30 minutes. You're going to focus on one thing, ring muscle ups or pull ups. And you're just going to take the time to break down the movement without the idea of, oh, I got to get my box, I got to get my rower, I got to get my wall ball, I got to get all my things like figured out. I got to go to the bathroom, I got to put my mask on, and everyone's disoriented. And it's like, come in for a 30-minute or a 60-minute skill session, one-on-one coaching, and get the attention you want. And it's like the price of a haircut.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like, price of a haircut, come on in, and you know what? You didn't have a haircut for the whole quarantine. You can use that money and use it for your skill session. Like, come on, man. Like, you deserve this for yourself. Or the nutrition, like, hey, you know everything. You know what you should do. You shouldn't eat the ice cream, but you need somebody accountable for you. So why don't you take for accountability nutrition for a little bit?
Well, it sounds to me like you guys did a lot of reframing, like a reframing of terminology, reframing of mindset. You just said one-on-one coaching and skill sessions. If you were to talk to a member and say, I think you should do personal training, there's a certain type of maybe wall that comes up. Yeah. But I can see people going, ooh, a skill session. That sounds really cool. And so has that terminology been important for you guys? Is that intentional? Because
I think you're finding, when I went on Mastermind this last Monday and started talking about that, that it's relatively new that we're implementing that. Logan, the owner, has had great success, more than myself and some of the other coaches, in getting people to sign up for nutrition consultations and one-on-one sessions. So I don't even know if he's actually using that terminology to the extent that I was, but I think he's familiar with that, and he's never liked personal training as a service because of, again, that level of hand-holding that it comes with sometimes, that feeling of like, you're not an athlete yet, you need all the help, you're a baby bird kind of thing. It's like, no, you need it along the way if your journey is of your goals. And the goals depend, right? These are all fitness goals we're talking about. The pacing, the approach to fitness, the intensity, that's a one-on-one skill session as well in my mind. Talking about it and looking at them and being like, are you going as hard as you can? You now have level method to fall back on for your scaling. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You just pick that color. And now it's just like, what's the stimulus? What's the intensity? Training them, coaching them on mindset, how to approach their fitness so they get the results they want versus scaling too much or not pushing themselves to the level that they're capable of.
That's a great aspect. Never thought of that. And I do naturally like talk to people because I put people through level method through the one-on-one coaching I do. I'm not going to say personal training, but you know, like when I'm talking to them about lactic tolerance, you know, I actually use the energy system cards, and it's just like, you know, it talks about the overall feeling, and it's just kind of horrible. And I walk them through that, and then I say something that you may actually kind of feel like you're going to die and you cannot breathe, and we just want you to keep going. And so people don't know, like, you know, I'll have a guy that is in the lactic tolerance test, and he walks over and grabs a drink. I'm like, you know, we have to actually give people the skills of, this is what we're looking for. Or they go all out on API. And, you know, if you don't talk to them ahead of time, it's like, hey, look, this is all about pacing. So those are really great opportunities for one-on-one or skill sessions. I think that's incredible.
Everybody wants to, who doesn't like to walk out of a workout and have executed to the level of like pacing that you wanted. And
right.
Like, I'm going to do 10 of these pull-ups, and then I'm going to do 30 sit-ups, 10 pull-ups, 30 sit-ups. And I did it. I didn't have to break. I didn't have to like stop. And you walk out and you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen, but it's like, and it's a journey.
Well, and it's an opportunity to really elevate your members' abilities, their skills, their future pacing. You're helping them just become better at fitness, which is fun, and that's what they're there for. So, man, you guys are ticking with the you're running with level method programming. How's that working? I know you had some kickback, but just in a nutshell, how's that going for you guys?
Yeah, that's probably the next tier of like barrier to retention, and it's not one that I'm afraid of anymore, because again, that mindset shift of, I want members that I believe in, that believe in us. Yeah. And anyone that's coming through our door is being you know, given the level method on-ramp one-on-one sessions, they're getting that terminology. They're getting told what to do. All these people that have in the past didn't get that are going to have a little bit more trouble, and that's okay. Easy come, easy go at times with people that want a certain type of service. The programming itself, I think, is really interesting and fun. I have had huge feedback that it is hard as heck. Yeah. And it's like, wow, this is intense workouts. These are really hitting me. And it's like, I didn't mention this, but in the initial assessments, people were PRing after COVID. People were PRing after COVID, after staying at home for a while, not lifting a barbell, because they had that map to help them. They had that map to say, oh, that's what I'm going to go for. Oh, I can go for that.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Next year, this is 20 more pounds in that back squat that I didn't actually think, because they didn't scale it right before. They didn't have the confidence. But once the map showed them that, then it's going into the workouts. Same thing. The levels are showing them the weights that they would have never done as a purple athlete. They're like, oh, I have to do a 53-pound kettlebell. And I'm like, you can do it. You can do it. We're going to do it. And then it's just talking about how do we break it up and how do we. That's
awesome. So
the mindset's being built into the mindset and the programming are colliding well together and helping build that confidence, which that's what I live for here. So
that's amazing.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, Gavin, I just really value your input. It's really refreshing to talk to someone who's just finished it and hear all of these things. And I look forward to continue to work with you and Logan for years. It's been a pleasure so far. And so thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Scott. It's been a great journey. We're excited for the next assessment and everything, and keep going. So
Awesome. Thanks everybody for joining this episode of the Chalk Talk, and thanks Gavin for joining us. And if you have not done so yet, just hit that subscribe button, put it on queue so that you can get the most updated ideas of what's happening inside the level method, hear from your cohorts, and pick up some best practices. And do us a favor, give us a rating, and have a great day.